As a bunch of you may know, I used to do a lot of stand-up comedy, okay? And that was a wonderful challenge for me. It really got me out of my shell as a magician. Before I did stand-up comedy, you know, I think I was a relatively amusing, sort of strong magician. By that point, I'd probably already had 15 years of experience as a magician, you know, and performing for people naturally squeezes you, it molds you. And by then I, you know, had a sense of humor that would come out, and I wrote kind of lines that were clever and this and that. But doing stand-up for years, I really in total did about 7 years of stand-up, and over that time I went from being a total amateur, and I was horrible. I mean, I bombed all the time, really bad. Open mic nights. Back then in Toronto, I was very lucky because that's when stand-up comedy was not at its peak. It was just sort of coming down, but it was still, I could do free spots about 6 nights a week. And I did that for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so for my first opening mic spots, stand-up comedy, you know, they were 4 or 5 minutes long, and I was horrible, and I sweated, and I bombed, and oh my God, some nights I didn't even remember what I did. It was like I did the history of comedy, did puns. Really, he's so bad with his puns, they're puns. Poems. Whinging poem for the Brits there. Or maybe for everybody but the Brits. Perspective there. I bombed a lot. And then slowly I got okay. I started to understand what a joke was, and I understood the difference between being funny with my friends, being funny with magic, and just being funny on stage. Because when I did stand-up, I hardly ever did any magic. And when I went from open to then being an opener, so open mics to an opener, then a middler, I did some MC work, and then I finally headlined. The last couple of years I did it. I was doing 45 minutes to an hour, no magic, just jokes and props and things like that. But I learned so much, and it really brought me out of myself. And the reason I'm talking about all this comedy stuff right now is I thought today I'd share kind of an unusual video with you, sharing with you a few comedy bits that I've used in magic. Because one of the things I discovered years ago, going sort of from stand-up and then starting to incorporate some of the stuff I learned from stand-up into magic, was that one of the best ways to start a magic show is with something entertaining people that isn't a magic trick. Some gag. Could be vaguely related to magic. But you know, one of the things I don't like, I'm going to be personal here with you now, I'm not a big fan of magic acts that are comedy magic acts that mostly just make fun of magic. I find that very easy. Everybody makes fun of magic, and if all you do is make fun of all the cliches of magic, you know, I find those acts, first, are often not very original, I find, and second, the magic isn't that strong. So personally, I'm not a big fan of that approach. I like really strong magic with big laughs somehow between or during or stuff like that. So on the video today, I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I'm sharing with you, basically giving you permission for those who really perform for people to feel free to try out some of this stuff. Now, some of it's silly, some of it's a bit rude. I'm going to show you a few different gags here, and I think near the end, I'm even going to share with you like a practical joke that's really crazy. As well as I think at the very end, maybe I will share with you what I think's got to be the biggest, hackiest line in all of magic that I use. I use it, super hack, half you'll have heard of it, but the other half who haven't heard of it, you'll try it and you'll see it's very dependable. It's very a bulletproof line at the end of one of your sets. Always, what I love about it is it's self-effacing. I'm a big fan of self-effacing humor. Plato or Socrates, or was it Sting? Somebody said, laughter is found at the debasement of your fellow man. And I don't mean in the basement, I mean at the debasement. And I think that's not always true. We can all think of exceptions to that. But I do think you can twist the line and have the idea that where there's a laugh, there's a victim. Something's a victim. An idea's been the victim, a presumption. There's been something's been twisted or harmed in a way. And sometimes what happens with insecure comics and insecure magicians is they look to try to make the spectator the victim. The classic, here's an invisible deck, give it a shuffle. Sorry, it's still in the card case. What are you doing, you idiot? I really want to avoid that stuff. It's not my style. I know some people do it and they get away with it because they're so charming. But a lot of times, even if you think you're getting away with it and you're charming, there's more than a few people who think you're just being a jerk, particularly in a privileged position of power, like a magician, like a performer. So having said all that, I don't even know how I'm going to jump in and share some of these bits with you, but I've had great success with all of them. Big laughs, they all suit me over the years, and so here we go. Here's some comedy ideas for magicians. Maybe we'll call it something like that. Sorry, give me just a moment to wind my wristwatch. This silly little bit is for those of you, did he say silly little bitch? This silly little bit, you're a silly little, is for anybody out there who doubted that I've been doing magic for so long. I'm referring to wristwatches being wound. But I still riff this every now and then. I used to be able to do it and people would just get it and I wouldn't have to say wristwatch. Now again, this is not like a boffo opening trick or anything. It's something I throw in. There's a whole bunch of lines, and I'm sure any professionals watching know about these lines, that you act like they're nothing. They're throwaways is what they're called. And the key to them is to throw them away looking for nothing, and that's when you have the best chance of getting a good laugh or a chuckle, whatever. So I'll miss a card and say, give me a, oh, I'm down, sorry, I think my watch is running a bit slow. Throw it in there, or someone shuffling the cards, and I say, take your time, man, take your time, and I'll take the cards back. And so I either offer it as an excuse why I missed a card, or I'll throw it in somewhere else. And so it's a silly bit. It obviously doesn't work in a very loud place. It has to be pretty quiet. If you have a wristwatch that's not a wind-up, it can work too as a bit of irony there. Just seeing somebody wind a wristwatch that obviously doesn't need any winding. This kind of thing, the iPhone watch and that. So what's the technique? I'm just riffling with my thumb, a tight riffle, against my manly chest muscle. Like this, and at the same, so it's here, and you're going like that. The Old Sauna Marker bit. Lots of ways to do this. It is very hacky, lots of magicians use it, but keep in mind that you're probably the first sleight of hand magician most people you ever meet will have seen live. First, kind of interesting. So the bit will still be fresh for them. Now, how do you do it? When do you do it? A lot of creative choices right there. It's so quick. Magicians can be, or performers, artists can be so quick to go, oh, it's not original. Rather than thinking about what's an original way I can use it. And I promise you that if you perform for people and you try this a few times, you're going to find a way that's unlike anybody else does it. You're going to find it in the middle after they sign a card, or as a recurring gag, keep going back to the marker. And yes, of course, it won't fit some people. I mean, I used to work a lot of nursery school shows, and it wasn't a great fit there or then. There'll be places where it's not appropriate. It may not suit your style. I appreciate that. But at the same time, the challenge is, can you find a way that suits you? It's an interesting creative challenge. I've messed with this a lot. I've done it, go ahead, sign your name, or hey, wait a second, it's hard to see the magic sometimes. Now I can, okay, I'm seeing lots of magic now. Okay, there's the supporter with a line. Having done it once or twice, you can turn around. So it gets to the point where just taking the cap off and turning around and coming back around is a sight gag. I think at least once I riffed it, I was feeling a bit crazy, where I took the marker and covered my arm with the ink real quickly and then did this snort thing, suggesting a different drug, I guess. So lots of different kinds of things you can do with it. Offer it to somebody else. Don't even do it yourself. Somebody, go ahead, sign your card and say, oh, and feel free to take a couple of sniffs. We all know about the marker thing, right? Throw that out there. It's fun because you do that and sometimes somebody will really run with it way too far. And you go, wow. And it's great to see a spectator sometimes take something so much farther than you ever felt safe to. And you get to just sit back and kind of go, ladies and gentlemen, Bob. So play with this kind of thing. Also, it's right there. You'll find that generally speaking, there's a ratio between doing a gag with something that's right there, the card case, a marker, a coin. Expectations are very low. You don't have to be especially funny if it's just a prop that's already in your hands. Chris, can I offer you a piece of gum? Tension and release. I talk about this a lot in magic and in comedy. Keep in mind, you can't have a big reaction without tension being released. You can't do it, particularly in comedy. You never get a big laugh from just, and I don't mean an unfunny joke. You need to structure jokes and deliver jokes in a way to create tension. Now, what's fascinating to me is it's one thing to create tension, but it's nothing to encourage people to release it in a way that isn't anger. Because anger is one way of releasing tension. Anger, shouting, screaming, hailing cabs, demanding refunds, this kind of thing. Whereas, so it's about creating tension release. So the way I just did it here on camera with Chris is usually not the way I do it. The way I'll do this is either as an opening, which takes a lot of guts, or in the middle of things. And sometimes I'll be, if I'm doing a stand-up show, maybe I've done some mentalism, some magic, some this, and this wouldn't be my first obvious joke, but it could be my third or fourth, and this is the way I really perform it, in total silence. I've just read someone's mind, and there it is. Were you thinking of the striped tiger with the lollipop? And people go, oh my God, and there's a little smattering of applause, and I put my stuff away, and then in total silence. Piece of gum. That's the way I do it. Creating, what's he doing? There's curiosity, there's mystery, there's tension, there's tension, there's tension. And then just as they're realizing, okay, they get a sense, okay, there's lint, he's got a lot of pocket length, they still don't quite know what it is. And then I either turn and say, lifesaver or piece of gum. You want something with as few syllables as possible. You want to burst that big tension with that. When I really play it up, sometimes I get a sweet big laugh, and people admire the guts of it, the courage of leaving yourself bare like that. Other times I just get a really big, ugh, which is not bad. Ask any comic in a situation. A big reaction is better than no reaction sometimes. So next time you're traveling on an airplane, reach into the pocket in front of you and take out the air sickness bag. Neatly tear off the bottom of the bag and then tuck the bag back inside the pocket. Next time someone's sick, not so much a bag as a bazooka. Another silly sight gag. And what I like about that one is, unlike a joke that's obviously blue involving sexual things, this is more of the barfy, pukey, grossy kind. So with broader appeal, people feel safer to laugh at it. For many years of my stand-up show, I did a trick involving a paper bag and a deck of cards. So this was a perfect thing to riff, because again, it was part of the props there. So the sense isn't, oh, he brought this prop out specifically to try to get this laugh from us, okay? And again, very bold, visually driven, so not a bad opener in a stand-up show if you want to establish that you've got a twisted sense of humor, right? Works better for sure with a white bag for a couple of reasons. First, on the airplanes, they're not brown sandwich bags. They're usually white or light blue. Over in Europe, I've noticed, for some reason. And those colors will better contrast against what you're wearing, unless you're happy to be wearing a white t-shirt and pants and people think you're there to paint the rooms. And again, do these things not like looking for, hey, isn't that hilarious? Just sort of riff it, just boom, and throw it aside. I've found too, sometimes you'll drop a joke, and if you do it real casually, that it's not until you're reaching back into your case or even starting to head that people will then laugh at that point, like beats later. So again, it's a nice sight gag, and if you're gonna be doing any kind of magic with a paper bag, it's a perfect fit. I put $5 in a condom machine. You know, expecting it 5 condoms, right? I got this rubber glove. I don't know if I'm supposed to use it 5 times with a woman or once by myself. I warned you that some of them would be a bit on edge, and this is one. However, I'm not defending it, but I want to explain to you. That joke with the rubber glove, a sight gag basically, has saved my ass more times than you can guess. I walk into a gig, you know, and I can tell immediately. First, you know, like I've worked in frat houses, okay? I've worked at really drunk late night house parties. And in those situations, everyone's, oh, the magician's coming. Oh, that'll be great. Hopefully, you know, he'll do something with a bunny. So I want to immediately establish, that's not the way I roll, guys. I'm a little bit hipper, a little bit more interesting, a little bit edgier. So as an opening, literally a cold opening, hey, the magician, I'll go, hey guys, how you doing? Everyone here? And I literally is the first thing, sometimes I won't even say, hey guys, I just walk out and I say, I put $5 into a condom machine. That's right, a condom machine. You repeat it. Because if it's your opening line, everyone's just focusing in on you. Did he say, what do you say, condiments? What do you say? So I'll often, in an opening line, repeat the line. Just I look around, I go, I put $5, and I don't say it proudly. Hey, I put 5. It's like, you know. So this notion of coming across as the magician, who right off the top, something happened he didn't plan for, he's still not even sure about. And this notion of condoms and the rubber glove, that by itself, I put $5 into a condom machine, I got this. Now sometimes I just go this, but if the lighting's not great, I go this, or I'll say I got this rubber glove. Now you don't want to double up your scripting with the sight gag if you can help it. The big part of comedy is lean. If this is enough, then, but sometimes I'll say rubber glove, and they think that's the punchline. That can get a nice little laugh. But then when I tag it with the line, 5 times with a woman or once by myself. Now you're painting all these crazy pictures and you're being kind of edgy and all that stuff. So now I've also used that not only as an opening effect to really establish, boom, I'm here, like me or not, but I also have used it with airtight. My deck and balloon routine, I've done it with a rubber glove before as well, and it works nicely there as well. So for lots of reasons and less, there's a crazy line with a rubber glove. Years ago, I was traveling in Canada, the US mostly, and I noticed that in a lot of the US and in Canada, in the urinals, in bathrooms, they use much the same salts. I don't know, people in other countries may not recognize this, but you go into a urinal and sometimes they have the blue puck, the big blue puck, but they often have these small ones. And this, however, don't think I'm holding one of these. They look a lot like mothballs is what they look like. But this is actually a Scotch Mint. S-C-O-T-C-H, Scotch Mint. You can get them off in candy stores and drugstores. And so, of course, this is a crazy gag. It's not during your own performance, but you finger palm one of these babies, walk into the can with your buddy next time. You guys have been drinking or hanging out at the bar or the restaurant. You go on in at the same time, both taking a whiz. And of course, he sees you reach inside the urinal, take out one of these and go, whoa, this stinks. And already he's going, oh my God, what's the freak beside me doing? Or a stranger, even better. Just sniffing them is upsetting enough. But as soon as you pop this sucker in your mouth, you're gonna get a reaction from someone who will never, ever forget that moment. I warned you at the beginning of this video, I would be sharing with you the hackiest line in all of close-up magic, okay? You've heard this line before, you might even use it yourself, and there'll be pros out there going, damn it, don't share that line, because it is bulletproof. So I'm sharing this as a guilty pleasure. I have used the line, a few times, and it always gets a good response, okay? You've done some card tricks, someone signed a card, okay, they signed their name across a playing card, and at the very end of your show, you go, hey, here's what I want you to do. All the pros are gonna start wincing in this. I want you to take this card, and tonight, when you go to bed, I want you to put the card under your pillow. And in the morning, that card, and people always at that point will say, it'll be gone, right? Or it'll change, right? And that's when you step in, you say, and in the morning, that card will still be there. What am I, a magician? This line about take this card, and I want you to go home, and I want you to put it on your pillow, it's so saccharine and so predictable that everybody, and such a fit with the cliche idea of the magician, that everybody thinks, oh, it's gonna finish with, it'll be gone, it'll vanish, it'll change into a bunny. So you have everybody, for once the cliche works with you. You put this card under your pillow, and in the morning, like a little pause, and in the morning, they always fill it with, it'll be gone, it'll be a bunny, they always blurt something out. And the second, just as they're finishing their utterances, their syllables, you go, no, it'll still be there. And this notion of, no, it'll still be there, again, you create this tension. It's the pin that bursts the balloon and always gets a great laugh because you're not being self-aggrandizing. You're doing the opposite. The way you sort of say, no, it'll still be there, there's this sense of, do you guys believe in magic? Like, I'm just a human. What are you doing? So that's the line. Super hack. Lots of you already use it. Try it yourself a few times and you'll see it almost always works. Even if you don't want to become a professional or even part-time professional, let's say you just want to do a few shows, maybe around Christmas, and actually make a couple of bucks. I mean, what a great way to A, make money, B, inspires you to take what you do seriously. Now, if you're like me, you already take magic seriously, I get that. But the more things that you can bring to the table that squeeze you, that inspire you to really invest your most in something, the better, I figure, for your craft. And sometimes, there's nothing like knowing you're going to get 50 bucks from your friend at the house party you're going to go over and do some tricks for. But how do you promote yourself? Now, it's a whole other subject, a whole other this, but I just wanted to mention to you, this day and age, it really doesn't take much money or time to put up a nice web page, just a couple of nice photos and a little bit of text and a contact information. That's all you need. But the key is to make sure, even if you're not doing much, it has to be good. The photos have to be good. Okay, so much better to have 2 nice photos than 50 crappy ones. So you're probably going to need a friend to help you with nice photo and just a little bit of text and the contact information. The key is, with all marketing, how do you distinguish yourself from other people? Okay, so that's a whole other videotape. I'll share it sometime. But in the meantime, I've sort of given my own website, my own self-promotion site, jaysankey.com. I've given it a whole new, fresh take on it in the last couple of months, and I'm excited to share it with you now. Now, when you go visit jaysankey.com, you'll see it's multifaceted. It promotes me as a magician, as an author, as a public speaker, all that stuff. So it's a much more ambitious site than probably something you might do as a part-time professional or even just to do a few gigs, okay? But it is an example of how it's so important to present who you are and your story and what you do in a real way, in a credible way, but also in a way that has drama or even a bit of a mythological feel, your story. So it really requires you to really see yourself as a product, to see your skill sets as something that can excite and inspire the imaginations of other people. Ultimately, your website is a performance for other people. So check out jaysankey.com, fire me back, you'll see there's a contact there, send me back your comments. Love to always hear from you guys. And I hope the video made you laugh, and I hope my website inspires you in some small way for you to go on and really do with your magic what you want to do. Criss, can I offer you a, really? Hey Criss, would you like a